Are Eldrazi back in Modern thanks to Ugin's Labyrinth and the rest of the sweet Modern Horizons 3 Eldrazi? That's what we're going to find out today. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it is time for some more Modern Horizons 3 action. So if you know the history of the Modern format, you might remember almost a decade ago now, we went through a period of time known as Eldrazi Winter, where Wizards had just released Oath of the Gatewatch, and along with it, a bunch of really powerful, cheaper new Eldrazi, and Eldrazi dominated Modern. The Eldrazi decks at the time were considered to be not just the best deck in Modern then, but one of the best Modern decks in the history of the format, and the decks were so good that Wizards eventually had to ban Eye of Ugin to help slow the deck down. In the years since Eldrazi Winter, though, Eldrazi have really faded away in Modern, partly because of Eye of Ugin getting banned, partly because of power creep from Modern Horizons 2, where Eldrazi went from the best deck in the history of the format to pretty much unplayable, but that might be changing now thanks to Modern Horizons 3, which not only gave us a ton of sweet new Eldrazi, but a really powerful new replacement for Eye of Ugin. So today we're going to find out just how good Eldrazi can be in 2024 thanks to Modern Horizons 3. So let's talk about our Simic Eldrazi deck, jump into some leagues, see it in action. So to talk about the deck, we really got to start with the mana base, because the most important thing to this deck working is not a new Eldrazi, it's Ugin's Labyrinth. So as we talked about before, back when Eldrazi were great in Modern, a lot of their power was tied to having two different soul lands that make 2 mana in Eldrazi Temple and Eye of Ugin. Well, we don't have Eye of Ugin anymore, but Ugin's Labyrinth is a really good replacement. Our deck is full of expensive colorless cards, so we can just play this, exile one of them, even temporarily, we can always get it back if we need to, and get a land that makes 2 mana. So this gives us a ton of consistency. Our deck really wants a soul land every single game on turn 1, and now that we have Ugin's Labyrinth on top of Eldrazi Temple, the odds of that increases significantly. The rest of the mana base, pretty typical stuff. Sanctum of Ugin can tutor out Eldrazi, Gaia Reach Sanitarium, technically can Madness our Emrakul if we happen to draw it. The other notable one is Drowner Tooth. Drowner Tooth I really like in this deck. I love my MDFCs, and this one works really well with Ugin's Labyrinth. The front side, 7 mana colorless cards, so we can exile to Ugin's Labyrinth. The back side just to tap Simic dual land. So this is essentially a land that we can also use to power up our Ugin's Labyrinth. So that's kind of the mana base of the deck. Then we have some of our new Eldrazi. Maybe the biggest new addition is Devour of Destiny. Devour of Destiny is so incredibly good in this deck. So it's a 7 mana 6/6 that when we cast it, we can exile a card that's 1 or more colors, a permanent that's 1 or more colors, and then it has an ability where we can reveal it in our opening hand. If we do, at the beginning of our first upkeep, we'll look at the top 4 cards of our library, put 1 back on top, exile the rest. So this works really well with Ugin's Labyrinth. We just talked about how having a soul land on turn 1 is really what makes this deck work. Devour of Destiny ups our odds of having that even further. If we don't have an Ugin's Labyrinth or an Eldrazi Temple, we just reveal the Devour of Destiny, dig 4 cards deep to find one, and then we can also exile it to Ugin's Labyrinth to get the soul land out of it. So that's the power of Devour of Destiny. We also have Null Drifter, which is kind of like Drowner of Tooth. It's a 7 mana colorless card, so we can power up our Ugin's Labyrinth, but we can also just evoke it for 3 mana to draw some cards. Plus, it's not horrible at 7 mana. It's a 4/4 Flyer Annihilator. And then we have 1 Emrakul World to do, which we'll have to wait and see. It is 12 mana. It might be ambitious. Ideally, we can discard it to Gaia Reach Sanitarium and Madness it for 6 colorless. We'll have to see if it actually works out. So those are kind of the big Eldrazi that work with Ugin's Labyrinth. Then we have our cheaper Eldrazi. Mana Reshaper, Thought-Knot Seer, holdovers from the original Eldrazi deck. Mana Reshaper, generating card advantage. Thought-Knot Seer, stripping apart our opponent's hand. Sowing Marker Spawn, another big new addition. So it's kind of like a Solemn Simulacrum, a 4-drop that tutors out a land when we cast it. We can also kick it for 2 more mana and exile one of our opponent's land. This card gives us some really explosive starts. In theory, our best start with this deck is turn 1, we go Ugin's Labyrinth into a 2 mana rock. So we have 3 mana on turn 1. Turn 2, we make our land drop, and then Sowing Microspawn to get Eldrazi Temple. So now we're up to 6 mana on turn 2, which means on turn 3, we can play a land and cast any of our big 7 drops. And that's kind of just an auto win when that draw actually happens. Plus, being able to blow up our opponent's lands, never a bad thing. Then we have our interaction. All is Dust, another card expensive enough to turn on Ugin's Labyrinth. Plus, it's kind of insane in our deck because all of our permanents are colorless, so it's like a one-sided wrath that gets rid of all of our opponent's stuff. We keep our stuff. Kozilek's Command, a little bit expensive, but super flexible. Removal, Eldrazi spawn creation, graveyard hate, card draw, dismember to deal with early game stuff. Rounding out the deck, Talisman of Curiosity just ramps us into our bigger plays. Really good with Ugin's Labyrinth. Ugin's Labyrinth really likes colorless 2-drops because we can play them on turn 1. And then the One Ring, just a busted card. Why wouldn't we play in our deck? In the sideboard, Chalice of the Void is our other really big 2-mana colorless play. And I was really going back and forth. Should I play this in the main deck? Should I play it in the sideboard? I ended up going with the sideboard. With Ugin's Labyrinth, we can Chalice on turn 1. Some decks don't really care. They're just like, whatever, we can play through the Chalice. Some decks kind of just scoop to a Chalice on 1. So the idea is we have 4 copies in our sideboard. In the matchups where opponents essentially going to scoop to it, like a Death Shadow deck or a Ragavan Dragon Rage Channel or all 1-drop deck, we bring this in and maybe get a free win. When it's bad, we just leave it in the sideboard. Ugin's Binding works with all of our big colorless stuff. Pick your poison to get our opponent's One Rings. Dismember for more removal and licensors for graveyards. Vexing Bubble for scam. Curse Totem for like Yogg style stuff. And that is the new and hopefully improved Simic Eldrazi for Modern. That's our deck for today, so let's jump into some games and see if maybe we're in Eldrazi summer now. How good are Eldrazi with these new additions? Are they going to be a real deck in the format? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. We've got new tokens and playmats, and you can even get the tokens signed if you want. Check them all out over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. It is Modern Horizons 3 in modern time, and we are playing some Simic Eldrazi today, and we're going to keep this. I mean, this hand is interesting. It is definitely interesting. I think we just lead on... You know what? Let's do this in case we get Thoughtseize. Let's Ugin's Labyrinth. Exile the Drowner. Well, Soul Land on turn 1 in Modern. Can you beat it? Your go about it. See what our opponent's up to. Forest and Gilded Goose Honk Honk. We draw a Waste. Well, let's just play Breeding Pool tapped. Unfortunately, we kept this hand because we could Ugin's Labyrinth, but we don't actually have a follow-up at the moment. We need this One Ring. And we need to not get Bowmastered. I mean, the good news is our deck is full of big things to draw into, so hopefully we find them. Opponent. Samwise Gamgee and a Cauldron Familiar. All right, opponent's going to be going infinite before super long here. Well, wow, even more lands. Oh my goodness. Well, we get to play a One Ring. And get protection and draw with the One Ring. Sowing Microspawn isn't bad. We actually have 6 mana for it, so we can kick it and exile a land. The question is, are we just about to get combo killed by Samwise? Urza Saga? Sure. I wonder how good Microspawn's going to be in Modern. I feel like this card... Oh, are we dead? And that's Warren Soul Trader, and that should be infinite, right? Opponent, yeah, sacks the Cauldron Familiar, makes treasure, and then gets it back, which will make food, and we will scoop it up. Well, cool to see Warren Soul Trader pop off. What do we have that's good against this? So we want any bit... We did keep a very land-heavy hand. In defense of our deck, we did keep a very land-heavy hand. So, Curse Totem, excellent against our opponent's deck. Unlicensed Hearse, pretty good against our opponent's deck. Dismember, good. Kozilek's Return actually seems pretty good. A lot of our sideboard seems good. What are we going to cut is the question. We might be able to trim a couple. All is dust. Emrakul. Our opponent can just sack their board in response to Emrakul anyway. Probably going to be a little bit too slow. I'm also curious about the chalices. We're going to be on the play. Oh, if we can find room for them. Maybe trim a couple Null Drifters. Oh, we also got to keep enough 7s, right? That we can still Ugin's Labyrinth, or else everything falls apart. We still have a decent number of 7s. Maybe like one more All is Dust. Ooh, a One Ring. All right, let's go one Talisman. Let's try it like that. Well, here we go for game number 2. We know what our opponent's doing there. Soul Trader, Wombo, Combo-ing. We get to reveal the Devourer Destiny. See if we can set something up here for turn 2. Yeah, we gotta take the Ugin's Labyrinth. Play a Waste. Pass the turn. So next turn, we're like, we have turn 3 Thought Knot. Is that gonna be fast enough? That is the question. Opponent Windswept Teeth. I guess it depends on how good our opponent's hand is. Like, Thought Knot can take a combo piece out of our opponent's hand if they don't just have the nut draw like they did last game, which is a concern. Well, Ugin's Labyrinth. Exile Drowner of Truth. Pass the turn. All right, Thought Knots. So Thought Knot into Thought Knot, starting on turn 3. Is that enough? Thanks to Ugin's Labyrinth. Opponent has the Samwise. Well, they have the start again. Thankfully, all right, Beseiju and a Gilded Goose. Well, all right, Thought Knot Seer. Do your thing, Thought Knot Seer. We will play a Yavimaya Coast and Thought Knot Seer number 1. Academy. Oh my god, opponent's hand is busted. Academy Manufacturer, Chatterfang, and Soul Trader. So opponent has everything they could possibly want. We can't have them playing the Manufacturer. We gotta take the Manufacturer. That hand is too good. That hand is too good. That hand might be too good for us. We need some removals. I don't think just Thought Knot's gonna get us out of this one. I mean, they could just win the game. They have the Soul Trader. If they top deck yet another combo piece, then they can go infinite. Bonnet. Soul Trader triggers Samwise, makes food. Dryad Arbor. And sacks. Sacks. And taps and sacks. So they're going to play the Chatterfang? So they're just trying to empty their hand, basically. None of this is good for us. We know our opponent's last card is... Well, I guess we don't know what the last card is. Opponent sacks Treasure. So our opponent has effectively assembled infinite-ish mana. They will run out of life eventually. Well, I guess they have assembled infinite mana. Can they do anything with infinite mana? It's actually infinite because they can sack the food, right? For 2 to gain back 3. So that undoes the life gain, or undoes the life loss with Soul Trader. I mean, we're not going to scoop because they don't theoretically have a win con, right? We're definitely in a bad spot unless we draw some removal. Well, Soul Trader is popping off. I think our opponents had very good hands with the deck. Like, they've had Gilded Goose, Samwise, Soul Trader at both games. So I think these are pretty solid draws for the deck, I would say. Well, Dismember is good. I guess we play the Sanctum of Ugin. Thought Knot Seer number 2. See what the last card is. It's just a forest. The question is, what do we kill? I mean, I guess it's just a Soul Trader, right? All right, so we're going to kill the Soul Trader. Dismember is key. We did need to hit a removal spell here. The problem with killing Chatterfang is they can just get it back with the Samwise. If our opponent wants to like block with Chatterfang and the Squirrel token, I think, even though they get a card, I think it's worth it. All right, kill them both. Opponent gets a card. Well, we have successfully got several combo pieces off the battlefield, which is good. Our dream draw is another Ugin's Labyrinth or an Eldrazi Temple, so we can devour next turn. That would be the best. Or more removal would be fine. Opponent plays the forest, and oh boy, wow, collected company off the top. Okay, come on, whiff, whiff, whiff. How about let's do a little bad running for once. Opponent Samwise and hits a Gilded Goose and a Soul Trader. Okay, makes a bunch more tokens and gets back Chatterfang. So our opponent has once again assembled infinite mana. We draw a Gemstone Cavern, not very good. Play the land, pass the turn. It is unfortunate they just drew into the Collected Company, that's for sure. Maybe this is a bad matchup. Or maybe Devour Destiny's not good enough. Delighted Halfling, okay. Gonna make a food. And going to go back to sacking things. They might be trying to make enough squirrels that they can sack them to kill the Thought Knot. That seems to be what they're trying to do here. And then they get to draw another card and they're hoping to draw into a combo piece. We know Cauldron Familiar. Are there other win cons in their deck? I mean, we could just lose to the beatdowns. Opponent combat gets and hits us. Sure. Down to 8. Yavimaya. And passes. Well, Gemstone Cave. I guess it is time to see if this card is actually any good. I mean, it helped us find our Ugin Sanctum. Is this Exile? Exile. Although our opponent can sack in response, so I think we once again have to go after the Soul Trader. Sack the Sanctum of Ugin. Sowing Microspawn. Well, Soul Trader number 2 down for the time being. A little bit slow. Turn 6 Devour Destiny. Opponent. Gonna make food token. And Soul Trader down. Well, we passed it back. This has ended up being close. We'll see. So next turn, we can micro spawn or Thought Knot. Soul Trader looks pretty good in this combo deck, at least. I feel like we're probably a good matchup for this combo deck, too. We don't have that much early game removal. We're not like a Is It Murktide deck or something. It's going to be like, oh, kill your thing, kill your thing. That's not exactly what we're doing with these Eldrazi. What did our opponent draw? Second, that is legendary, but okay. Chatterfang number 2. Makes a food and a squirrel. Samwise number 2. I'm not sure what the point of this is. I guess they get food out of it? I mean, they get a bunch of squirrels that are good chump blockers. Thankfully, even though we're kind of a green deck, we don't actually have any forests, so we're not going to get forest walked. Oh wait, there's a Yavimaya, so we are going to get forest walked. We can answer the Yavimaya with the Sowing Microspawn. So we're not going to get forest walked for long. Opponent hits us down to 5. We draw. Another. So we've drawn literally every Thought Knot in our deck. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sowing Microspawn with Kicker. So exile the Yavimaya. Tutor up a probably just Eldrazi Temple. Yeah, I think we just take the Eldrazi Temple. Get rid of the Yavimaya. Get a Dork. This turn we definitely have to pass, right? Yeah, we have to pass or we're dead. Opponent untaps. So maybe the Devour is good. It found us our Labyrinth on turn 1, and then it came down to exile a combo piece. Not until turn 6, but it did eventually do that. Next turn, I guess we can double Thought Knot? Opponent combat. Gonna do some squirrel attacking. Well, I mean, we will do some squirrel blocking. Worst case, we get to double Thought Knot this turn, which does add a bunch of bodies. Kind of regretting trimming so many All Is Dust, and All Is Dust would be really nice here. Gets back Samwise. Plays a Samwise. Sure, gets a squirrel. Passes. Come on, deck. Big draw, big draw. Chalice of the Void. That could be relevant. That could actually be relevant. Let's think about this. So we're definitely playing a Thought Knot. 1, 2. Actually, we should do it off Eldrazi Temple, right? So Thought Knot. 1, 2, 3, and 4. See what our opponent's got in hand. And then we might just have to run out this Chalice. Well, there's a Thought Knot. Let's see what our opponent's got. Another Sam. So the problem is Chalice doesn't actually stop. We do need to keep pressuring, although opponent can just keep sacking these squirrels, right? They can block and sack. Wow, opponent's just going to take it? Okay, well, in that case, I think we Chalice on 1. Actually, no, that's silly. Let's just play another Thought Knot. I think we just run out the Thought Knots, get the bodies. Now we have 3 lethal threats. Pass the turn, hope for no disasters. I mean, I guess our opponent can make food, so they're like lethal adjacent. Let's go with that. Opponent. So it's a scary deck because it always feels like they're a top deck away from comboing. The Sowing Microspawn, being able to snipe the Yavimaya was actually ridiculously big. This is an annoying deck for our deck to slog through, apparently, without an All Is Dust. Pass it. Ooh, Null Drifter. Okay. The Null Drifter. Draw a couple cards. We're going to hardcast it. I think it's worth it. So draw a couple cards. Ooh, Kozilek's Command. Okay, that's actually sort of relevant. So because Kozilek's Command is a kindred instant, a tribal instant, we can actually use Eldrazi Temple to pay for it. Opponent goes to 4. All right, we pass. Opponent gonna make a food. So we can use it to exile the graveyard. We can exile a squirrel token. We can exile the Gilded Goose. The good news is, even though our opponent has a lot of food, they don't have a lot of mana for cracking their food. Game 1, we just got kind of steamrolled by the combo. This game, it looked like we were going to get steamrolled by the combo, but actually this became a very close one. Down to 2. Passes. Well, let's untap. I don't think we cast the command yet. Drowner of Truth. Let's go to combat. I think we actually go on the full attack here. I think we swing with everything. Swing with everything. Because we have the Kozilek's Command, right? So we can make a whole bunch of blockers if we need to. Big attack. Opponent. Math is for squirrels, apparently. Since squirrels are the blockers. All right, opponent. This Null Drafter, actually, maybe Null Drifter's good. Null Drifter's actually felt very impactful here. And Kozilek's Command, I feel very good about just having this in hand. This was a card I wasn't sure how many to play. Do you play 4 of them? Do you play 0 of them? Somewhere in between? I'm still not sure. But I am very happy to have it in hand at the moment. Opponent's going to sack a food to gain some life. So Kozilek's Command, make a bunch of spawns, weird preordain, get rid of a creature, get rid of a graveyard. Ooh, changes their mind. Gonna leave back the Chatterfang and the Samwise. I feel like the Kozilek's Command can keep us alive. Maybe. It's close. Trying to figure out exactly how to block. Yeah, this makes the most sense, right? This soaks up the most damage, keeps the two combo pieces. And a food, sure. Kozilek's Command, are you good enough? Is it even worth chalicing? Does it even do anything? I think we just passed and trust that this Kozilek's Command is gonna win us the game. Opponent untaps. And Delighted Halfling. Okay, that's fine. That is not a card that we were worried about. If we survive this turn, we win, right? There's no way we're not gonna win if we survive this turn. Opponent swings with everything. Well, Kozilek's Command. Make a bunch of spawns, exile a creature. We make the spawns, Chatterfang, and now we tap a lot of mana. I think Chatterfang's right, because that could be the one way they could maybe combo if they draw a Cauldron Familiar. Well, Kozilek's Command, X = 8. And about it, scoops it up, and that was looking pretty grim. That was looking very grim. But in the end, the Eldrazi came through. Let's try these Ugins. Is Ugins Binding? It does reset all the, Let's try the Ugins Bindings. We're going to go back down the Chalices. We're going to go up in All Is Dust. Maybe one more All Is Dust? Yeah, let's try it like that. All right, we're on the draw this game, which is frightening. But we survived that last game somehow. We will reveal a Devourer. We would love to hit a Ugins Labyrinth. Opponent, Misty Rainforest. And Temple Garden. The Unlicensed Hearse is nice. That can shut down some of the shenanigans. Well, all right, there's the Labyrinth. Definitely taking the Labyrinth. Play Ugins Labyrinth. Devourer. And get down Unlicensed Hearse. Pass the turn. Okay, this is where the deck's gonna feel really powerful, right? So we Devour into another Ugins Labyrinth. We have an Eldrazi Temple. So we're gonna have double soul lands on turn 2, which is kind of wild. Oh god, and a Curse Totem. Wait, is that just better? How do we die? They don't even have a food. Yeah, I think we just thought not. Take a look at the hand. Curse Totem is very good. We're drawing our sideboard cards this game. Samwise, double Cocos, Cauldron Familiar, and Soul Trader. Well, we'll just take the Soul Trader. Pass the turn. Other thing worth pointing out about, opponent hit a land. That's actually kind of big. Their hand is scary if they hit lands. Because of the 2 Cocos. There's a Cauldron Familiar. Makes food, does a little draining. So 2 Cocos and another Sam in hand. So this turn we can Curse Totem Matter Reshaper. And then we're a soul land away from All Is Dust. Another Devourer. Get in with the Thought-Knot Seer. We know our opponent can't actually kill it. They can block with the Cauldron Familiar. And then we have a little standoff. With them licensors. All right, opponent's going to take it. So play the Yavimaya Coast. Play Matter Reshaper. Man, one more soul land. One more. Just one more. And just to make sure there's no shenanigans here, pass the turn. Curse Totem's pretty good here. It keeps the Gilded Goose from making food. There's an Urza Saga. So they can't Collected Company yet. Opponent passes. Land? How about a big land? Well, okay. That's not a land, but that is a very good draw. 1, 2, 3, and 4. One Ring. Illegible One Ring. Still draws cards, though. One Ring. Draw more Cursed Totems. Go to combat. Yeah, I mean, I think we just beat down with everything. Takes a beats. Down to 4. All right. I mean, they can make a construct. Cursed Totem only shuts down creatures, so it's not going to shut down the Urza Saga. This game, man, the double soul land draw. That's some, like, Eye of Ugin era Eldrazi shenanigans. Opponent passes. I mean, we really just want to hit, Draw Nerd Truth. We're gonna go for it. If you have a Bowmasters, you have a Bowmasters. There's the, that should do it. Ugins Labyrinth, exile Drowner of Truth, Soul Land number 3. So our 4 lands are making 7 manas. Okay, this hand, our deck felt busted. An opponent scoops it up. Initial takeaways on Eldrazi. Devour Destiny. Twice. It let us find the Ugins Labyrinth. And both of the games that we had in our opening hand, we ended up winning. The game that we lost, we did kind of, I guess, keep a sketchy hand in game 1 with like just a ton of lands in a One Ring. Thinking that might work, and then we got comboed off. But Devour Destiny felt really, really good. And Ugins Labyrinth, like, this is a testament to how busted this card actually can be. This game, we had what? Ugin's Labyrinth and Eldrazi Temple. So we were casting Thought Knots on turn 2. And then we were able to double spell on turn 3. And then we found another Ugin's Labyrinth so we could get down the early All-Is Dust to just close out the game. So, well, Eldrazi, they might be back. They just might be back in Modern. Sweet. Playing some Eldrazi. Playing some Ugin's Labyrinth. Drowner of Truth, Eldrazi, and we're going to keep this. I mean, we have a Devour. Yeah, we'll keep. Devour might be able to find us another Soul Land? Hopefully. See what our opponent's up to. Something with Jigantha, Mishra's Bauble, and a Swamp, and Thoughtseize. All right, well, you can't Thoughtseize the Ugin's Labyrinth. Could Thoughtseize the Drowner of Truth? Oh, that loses some appeal, knowing that we have Devour of Destiny. Takes a One Ring, that makes sense. One Ring's pretty busted. Well, opponent gets to draw with Bauble. We get to Devour Eldrazi Temple. So we can Ugin's Labyrinth, exiling. Yeah, let's exile the Devour. One of the upsides in scenarios like this is Ugin's Labyrinth also lets us hide the card from discard. So keep that in mind. Out of the two of Drowner or Devour, I think we'd rather, if one gets Thoughtseize, rather have it be the Drowner. I guess we could also exile the All-Is Dust, but I don't know if this is going to be a very good All-Is Dust matchup. We will see. So what do we want now? We kind of want that One Ring that got stolen, but takes the Matter Reshaper, Polluted Delta, and passes. Oh, we draw another Matter Reshaper. Well, let's just Eldrazi Temple, run out a Matter Reshaper. Always good to draw what gets Thoughtseize. Pass the turn. I bet our opponent's some sort of Necro deck. That would be my guess. Polluted Delta. Didn't crack the first Polluted Delta for some reason. I mean, they got Necro mana if they have a Necro. We are currently not really doing anything next turn. I guess we get to attack with the Matter Reshaper, but Ugin's Labyrinth so far, in our deck at least, turning it on has not been an issue. Opponent cracks and cracks. Necro? Oh, Blood Crypt, okay. Gotta be like a Death Shadow deck or something. All right, there's a Death Shadow. And passes. Well, let's play the Drowner. Go to combat, get in with the Matter Reshaper. Down to 7. Unfortunately, grow the Death Shadow. This is gonna be close. Expressive Iteration. I wonder what their new cards are. So far, we haven't seen anything from MH3. I'm guessing it's gotta be Necrodominance, right? That would be the most... I guess it could be Necrogoyf. I've heard people talking about Necrogoyf in this deck, so that could be a possibility. Seal of Fire. Okay, it is Necrogoyf. If you're playing Seal of Fire, you're playing Goyf. Spawn it, untap land down to 5, grows the Death Shadow, goes to combat. Gets it. Down to 12. And there's the Seal of Fire. I wish we had a Seal of Fire. And Thoughtseize. All right. Ooh, takes Dismember. Oh, they can kill the Matter Reshaper. Oh, that's actually an absurdly good draw here. Okay, Kozilek's Command. It might be a sneaky all-star. So opponent's going to kill the Matter Reshaper. We get a trigger. It's a Thought Knot Seer. Well, we will. While our opponent's tapped out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kozilek's Command. Get rid of the Death Shadow. We could nuke I think we'd rather just make the Scions. All right, so we make the tokens. Kill your Death Shadow. I mean, I guess they could have a Force. I doubt it, though. What a draw. What a draw. Kozilek's Command. Whew. Pass the turn. Pass the turn. And that might be a game-winning draw. Oh, that was... Kozilek's Command might be the truth. Every time we draw it, we win. It might be that we should be playing more Kozilek's Command because every time we find it, it is so good. Found it. Passing. Talisman of Curiosity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sack. Let's Null Drifter. And pass the turn. Null Drifter also blocks this DRC pretty well. Didn't hit another land there, which is kind of awkward. Null Drifter is also... An opponent scoops it up. Wow. That was looking bad for a minute, but in the end, didn't actually matter because of the power of our one of Kozilek's Command. Oh, well, this is definitely a really good Chalice matchup. So we're gonna bring in the Chalices. Maybe Emrakul. Is Emrakul just too ambitious? The dream is like we sowing Microspawn, and we use that to get like our Gaia Reach Sanitarium, and then that loots and gets rid of the Emrakul, and then we cast it for only 9 mana, I guess, when you consider tapping the the Gaia Reach. But still, that's the dream. I don't think it's good enough for this matchup, though. Our opponent's deck's too aggro. So Chalice is great. I guess we want the Kozilek's Command. Apparently that card is also just great. What about Ugin's Binding? Dismember. Dismember might not be that great against Death Shadow in specific, but it is good against DRC and Ragavan and so forth. Look at what top heavy this curve is. It looks a little better if you consider Drowner of Truth as a land rather than a 7, but still, that is a chunky curve. I mean, I guess Chalice is also more down on this end. Kozilek's Command is probably in the middle somewhere in our massive 4-drop pile. We'll go down to Microspawn. Let's go down one more All Is Dust. A 1 ring? Let's try it like that. All right, on to game 2. Can we beat the Modern Horizons 2 deck? Modern Horizons 3 versus Modern Horizons 2. The bad news is we're on the draw. If we were on the play, I think this hand would be almost unbeatable for our opponent's deck. Just turn 1, Chalice. I don't think they can beat that opponent. Bloodstain Mire cracks it. Being on the play, though, they can Thoughtseize us. I guess that's why you don't win game 1. Should have lost it. Opponent, ooh, DRC, okay. Well, Ugin's Labyrinth. Pretty Busterino, exile the Null Drifter, and Chalice of the Void, which should be pretty good against your deck. And your go, opponent. Oh, we got him. Oh, we got him. Apparently, Chalice of the Void, pretty good. I've been going back and forth. Chalice is obviously insane in the right matchup, and it's insane with Ugin's Labyrinth. I've been going back and forth. Do you main deck it? Do you sideboard it? I ended up putting 4 copies in the sideboard and figured we bring them in the matchups where they're good and have more room for Big Eldrazi in the main deck. In that match, it was just the turn one win, essentially. Like, Chalice of the Void, Ugin's Labyrinth is the truth. At least in the, you gotta build around it, right? You can't just jam this in every deck. But in our deck, oh my goodness, is having this card. It is really, really changing things. Well, all right, let's keep doing that. We're going to keep it. So we're on the draw. So why would we keep this hand? In theory, we turn 2 Talisman. As long as we hit our land in our first 2 turns, we can Microspawn to get a Ugin's Labyrinth, which pretty much gets us to All Is Dust. A little speculative. If they Thoughtseize our Talisman, then we're very sad. Eldrazi Temple's good. Let's play a Talisman of Curiosity past the turn. Might have been an argument for holding on to this Temple just because they can turn it into an island. Getting Blood Moon is annoying, or whatever it is. Harbinger the Seed is annoying, but it's not necessarily just deadly. Opponent gonna tap the Temple. That is also annoying, but we drew another Temple, so we Microspawn. Cast Trigger, so even if it gets countered, we're gonna do some ramping. Yeah, we'll take another Eldrazi Temple. Get a 3/3 past the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So next, wow. Jeez. Wait, are Eldrazi just busted? We're just absolutely stomping people. This is not even close. Not even close. Okay, so we're bringing more removal. I don't think we want Chalice against Merfolk. The problem with bringing in Chalice against Merfolk, because they got Vial anyway, right? So they can just Vial it into play. It is funny that we're a blue deck that doesn't have any, well, we have a breeding pool, but we almost have 0 islands. So Island Walk, our opponent's gonna have to work for it a bit. All Is Dust is great should we be able to resolve it, which is not a given. Maybe 2 Null Drifters. I will say my early impression of playing Eldrazi is a Devour Destiny might actually be the truth. And we talked about this before, but Kozilek's Command has been really good. And so in Microspawn, actually all these cards have been good. Maybe we get to see Ugin's Binding in practice this game. Can we cut an All Is Dust? We might need it. You know what, let's go 1. We'll go 1 Microspawn. Let's try it like that. All right, on to game number 2. Eldrazi versus Merfolk. Opponent's gonna be on the play. It's fine. We got the Devour. Devour should find us our Ugin's Labyrinth. We'll reveal it. Even if we don't find it, I like that we have the Dismember. That's pretty good against Merfolk. Opponent, Cavern of Souls on Merfolk and Dockhand. Well, let's reveal the Devour. Yeah, let's take the Dismember. Play the Drowner as a land past the turn. We could use a Soul Land. Opponent on Merfolk. Lord. Master of the Pearl Trident. Well, we are going to have to kill that. Opponent combat gets and hits us. Down 18. Thought not Sia. I will say the deck gets a lot slower. It gets a lot slower if we don't have a Soul Land, which is what we're seeing here. When we have a soul land, the deck feels busted. When we don't have a soul land, a little bit sketchier. Untap. So at least we got rid of Lord number 1. What is this? Oh, Minamo. All right, opponent, Minamos. Lord of Atlantis. Well, we are going to have to dismember that and then just hope that we can stabilize from there. Wow, not going to attack? Interesting. Dismember the Lord. Soul land. They're going to tap a land. The Talisman would be good too. Well, okay. Not a soul land, but a land. Let's play Sanctum of Ugin and pass the turn. Can we get a turn off without you playing a Lord, opponent? How about that? How about a turn without playing a Lord? This hand we would kind of get a little wrecked by Harbinger of the Seas. We've spent a lot of life dismembering, spreading seas on the Sanctum of Ugin. Well, okay. The bad news about that is it means we have an island. So now our opponent can island walk us. Well, at least they didn't have another threat. Opponent's going to tap a land. Sure. I wonder if Merfolk are actually good now. There's an All Is Dust. So I'll play the land. I think we just have to evoke the Null Drifter. Oh, we could Matter Reshaper. Is that better? The problem with Matter Reshaper is if they have another Island Walk Lord, we can't block their stuff anyway. We want to get to this All Is Dust. Yeah, let's Matter Reshaper. Matter Reshaper, get a blocker down, pass the turn. Next turn, we can Null Drifter and play a land if we draw one off of it. Opponent, Cavern. Number 3. Opponent might be flooding out a tiny bit. Oh boy. All right. Another Master. Oh, not another one. Tide Shaper. All right, gonna keep attacking our lands. I mean, the problem now is we're very close to dead. Wow, passing. Going to tap down our Yavimaya Coast. Well, 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, this is very interesting now. This is very interesting. So we can play the Thought Knot. 1, 2, 3. We'd have 5 mana. I think we need a Null Drifter. The problem with the Thought Knot is it doesn't actually save us here because of Island Walk. We need to hit Soul Land so we can cast this All Is Dust. That's what we really need. Oh, not quite. Although Kozilek's Command, our sneaky hero Kozilek's Command might be able to kill the Master. I mean, our opponent could also have counters. Volnir and Hexcatcher, that is kind of a counter. Yup. So we drop to 6. Opponent passes. So if we Kozilek's Command, yeah, I mean, this is our only shot. I don't think it actually works though, unfortunately. Make some spawns, target the Master. The problem is they can just sack 2 Merfolk, right? Because they drew a Hexcatcher. So they can like sack the Dockhand, sack the Tide Shaper. Oh, or they just have Flare Denial. Now we are literally dead. Ooh, yeah, we're still literally dead. All right. Well, that was a good example of what happens if we don't find a Soul Land. The deck feels really, really strong with the Soul Land. That game, we even had the Devour to dig for one and we couldn't find it. We can't keep this, I don't think. So turn 1 tap land, turn 2 Mana Rock, try to get to the micro spawns. Well, all right, this hand's okay, it's okay. We can just evoke the Null Drifter next turn, which might be necessary, we'll see. Opponent also did a little bit of mulliganing. Mutavault and Ether Vial. That is a scary card. Opponent passes. Ether Vial on turn 1, very good. Thought Knot Seer. Well, Eldrazi Temple, and I think we just evoke a Null Drifter here, draw a couple cards. Null Drifter. Draw. All right, One Ring and Devour. Pass the turn. Opponent. Definitely need to hit more lands. Tuara for our opponent. Wow, just fires up the Mutavault? Okay, gets and hits us. Well, that's good news for us. We draw another Eldrazi Temple. We'll play Eldrazi Temple. Hitting the Soul Lands. Thought Knot Seer? Let's see what you're working with, opponent. Opponent going to Vial in Dockhand. Okay. Wow. Lord, Harbinger of Seas, Sevulin, Tidebinder. In some ways, Tidebinder is the most annoying because that can actually stop our Devour of Destiny trigger. Yeah, let's just take the Master. I think that's fine. Take the thing that they can actually play next turn. Pass the turn. So opponent needs a land if they're going to be able to play anything this turn. They draw a land. And there's the Harbinger. But we just get to dismember the Harbinger. It does cost a little bit of life, but get that out of here. Untap. Talisman. Play the Waste. Get down the One Ring. And draw with the One Ring. And get in with Thought Knot Seer. Opponent untaps down to 16. We'd really like to get to casting this Devourer. Opponent, Sevulin, and passes. So they're going to Tidebinder the One Ring, activate the One Ring, make them stop it. I mean, this kind of works out fine. So they're going to put the Tidebinder into play. The Tidebinder is going to counter the One Ring, but we drew an Eldrazi Temple, so we get to Talisman of Curiosity. Indestructible Sevulin, not a problem for Devourer of Destiny. Devourer of Destiny. Snipe the Sevulin. And I think we keep attacking. Get in, hit ya. If our opponent wants to double block and draw a card, they can. Opponent says no, drops to 12. Devour Destiny is very good. It is very good. Opponent, 2 cards in hand, takes up Violet 3. Actually was on 3. Stays on 3 and scoops it up. And Eldrazi, Devour, sowing Microspawn. We might be onto something. This deck might actually be kind of busted. Sweet, sweet. Eldrazi time. We're on to, we're going to keep this. In Devour Destiny, we trust. In Devour, we trust. This is a hand where if Devour find us Ugin's Labyrinth, this hand is kind of bonkers. If it does not find us Ugin's Labyrinth, it's going to be a little sketch. At least it should find us a land, right? Eldrazi Temple would also be fine. I guess we take the Waste. Okay, sure. Well, Breeding Pool tapped. Pass the turn. All right, Devour has failed us. It has been doing really good for us, but now we have the no soul land hand. Those are the games that we lose. I feel like if you look at our games, discounting our very first game with the deck where I just should not have kept the hand, if we have a soul land, we win. I think every single time. If we don't have a soul land, then who knows what'll happen. So I guess we're on, oh boy, yeah. When you think about what this hand does, it becomes kind of scary. So we're like turn 2 land drop, turn 3 evoke a Muldrifter, turn 4 Thought Knot. That's like playing standard or something. Yeah, oh, Guide of Souls. Guide of Souls is a card that I think is actually currently underrated. I think Guide of Souls is better than people realize because it looks like a Soul Sister, right? But it's not actually really a Soul Sister. It's like, it might be like a Ragavan. Maybe not quite a Ragavan. Because Ragavan you can play in like every deck and you splash it in decks that normally you wouldn't play it in. But I think this card can go in a lot of decks. I don't think it has to be a life gain deck card. Because it turns out that even by itself, if you're some sort of, well, it looks like your opponent is a life gain deck. Oh boy. All is dust, please, Magic. Oh, and a Windbrisk Kites? Oh boy. So Ocelot Pride's gonna prop off. That's gonna we might just be dead next turn. If we get Emerald off Windbrisk Kites, can't even be mad about that. Opponent gets in, hits us. The thing about Guide of Souls is, though, even if you're not like a life gain Soul Sister deck, just the ability to go wide, play creatures, and then, well, there's our soul land. Okay, Ugin's Labyrinth, Null Drifter, play a One Ring, and I think we just insta-draw with the One Ring. Wow, and there's all this dust. Okay. There's hope. There is hope in Mudsville, opponent. Untabs. I'm still a little worried about what could be hiding under those Windbrisk Kites. Maybe something that makes us die. But this hand just got way back. I think this is like our, like an updated version. Oh no. Oh, and our Waste is in hand. Oh no. Oh, I don't think we have another Waste. Well, okay. I take it all back. Life is horrible. Life is horrible, and we're probably dead. Oh boy, opponent. Gonna scry with Word to the Inner Sky. Okay, apparently there's counterplay. Wizards. Why? I thought we weren't allowed to blow up lands in 2024, Wizards. That's not fair. I think I might quit Magic forever. Lands are sacrosanct. You're not supposed to be able to touch them. Well, now we're, oh boy, this is, yeah, we are in trouble. We will evoke a Muldrifter. This went from looking very good to looking incredibly bad. Like, I think we're dead bad in the matter of like 1 White Orchid Phantom. I guess maybe we need to play another basic. Maybe it is also unlucky. I think, that our 1 Waste was in hand this game. Actually, it was, oh my god, and the Collector's Cage. All right, well, I imagine we're dead. They must not have anything very good under that Windbrisk Kites. Amarcolas, do it, opponent. I dare ya. It is funny that Collector's Cage, I think we bear some responsibility for Collector's Cage being noticed in Modern. Yeah, how bad is it? Amiria's Gall. Yeah, we're dead. We can't. Yeah, we'll scoop. We don't have the ability to all this dust because of the White Orchid Phantom. I think White Orchid Phantom's really good. It might be even better than I realized, though. Like, that was really, really brutal. Is this the deck that can actually just not play Emrakul? Is that where we're at? The Emrakul just doesn't, like, can we not actually, I really want to just, we're going to keep it in. We're going to keep it in. I don't even know if it's right, but we're going to keep it in because I want to see it happen. I have a dream where we where we just do the thing and Sowing Microspawn gets the Gaia Reach and then we Emrakul. We feel so smart about ourselves. Do we want a Curse Totem? Probably not. Could bring in the Kozilek's Command. I don't think actually Chalice could be good. We are on the play. You know what? Maybe this is a Chalice matchup. They have a lot of 1-drops. If we can Chalice on the play. All right, so we got to cut a Null Drifter. We got to cut a Microspawn. Oh, this means I think it means we got to cut the Emrakul. All right, the Dream's going to have to wait. Run it like that. Ugin's Labyrinth, Chalice of the Void. Let's go. Okay, we can dig for the Chalice of the Void with the Devourer. I think Devourer is oh no, we had 2 Devourers. I'm an idiot. Although I guess 2 are not actually that effective, right? Take a Breeding Pool. Yeah, we should have revealed both. That's actually my fault. Well, let's play the Ugin's Labyrinth. Exile the Devourer. This is still a fine start, right? We need something to play with it. So turn 1 Talisman, not bad. Not as good as turn 1 Chalice. Turn 1 Chalice that's the truth. Opponent just leads on a Windbrisk Kites. The problem is we're not actually doing anything this coming turn. Ornithopter and Ornithopter and Memnite. Man, are we gonna have to kill an Ornithopter? I really don't want to kill an Ornithopter. But we might have to, because they could have an Emrakul or something underneath this Windbrisk Kites, and then we just die. Found it. Land. This feels so incredibly bad. But I imagine our opponent kept this hand because of this, so I don't think we can risk it. Oh, the awkward things you have to do because of Windbrisk Kites. That is kind of a temporary solution, though. They only need any creature. Ocelot Bride. Well, play the land past the turn. So I think here's the thing about Devourer of Destiny. Is revealing 2 of them worth it? I guess it still is, right? Because then if you whiff on the first one, you can just go again with the second one. Found it. It's in. Windbrisk Kites. Let's see if it's an Emrakul. Opponent clearly kept a hand trying to do this. Oh my God almighty. GG. GG. I guess we're not the Eldrazi deck after all. There is a lot of high rolling involved. As someone who sort of created this archetype to some extent, I played a lot of Windbrisk Kites. You don't get the Emrakul very often. I guess we were right to dismember the Memnite, or we would have been facing down a turn 2 Emrakul, which is literally as fast as you can make Emrakul in Modern. But it turns out turn 3 Emrakul still pretty good. 1 more land to get to the One Ring, and then the One Ring should get us to whatever we want. But at least we got an MDFC. I think Drowned Archer is actually worth playing in Eldrazi. Let's play it as a land past turn. Just because of Ugin's Labyrinth, right? Like the ability to have this mediocre, I guess, creature, but have this creature that then we can also exile to Ugin's Labyrinth, and then I guess occasionally we can play it. Would hope we don't get Thoughtseize. That would be bad. Misty Rainforest cracks it. Thoughtseize would be bad because they could take the All Is Dust, and then we don't have a 7 for Labyrinth Forest. Well, let's Ugin's Labyrinth and exile All Is Dust. How responsible are we as gamers? I want to play the Matter Reshaper, but if we do, they have a turn with Halfling. I think we play Matter Reshaper. Get out Matter Reshaper past the turn. They can have 1 turn with the Halfling. I know you're supposed to bolt the bird, but dismember the Halfling's kind of painful. We gotta spend 4 life and our entire turn when we have 3 mana. That seems kind of brutal. We'd love to draw another land. Once we draw 1 more land, then we're kind of off to the races, right? We got the Microspawn, we got the One Ring. We're actually kind of okay with Matter Reshaper dying, actually. We're not gonna like dismember it or anything, but we'd actually kind of prefer it to die as another shot for a land. Opponent, Misty Rainforest. For an island, Nadu. I mean, we gotta kill Nadu, right? Or else we can just immediately die. Yeah, I mean, we have to. Target the Nadu. The thing about Nadu is, the builds I've seen people messing around with often have Thassa's Oracle as a win condition. So I think it's possible that they can just win through a One Ring. Like, One Ring protects us from some stuff, but not necessarily Nadu combo. Now the question is, do we also kill the Halfling? Or do we let this live and kill the next Nadu or whatever? I think we gotta do it. We're gonna kill the Halfling. I don't know if this is too greedy or not, but we're gonna go for it. Kill it. Board is clean. This sets us up to One Ring next turn. Hopefully they don't have a second Nadu. Our Cursed Totems should be good against this deck, I think. It doesn't stop Nadu's ability, but it stops a lot of things that people play with Nadu. Windswept Heath and All Is Dust. Well, that's a minute away from really being good. Get in, hit ya. Do we microspawn or do we One Ring? They could have a counter this turn. I don't know how many counters they can realistically be playing in their Court of Calling deck. Yeah, let's microspawn. Let's Sowing Microspawn. I think we just get Eldrazi Temple. And get a 3/3 past the turn. I mean, now we technically have a 2-turn clock. The thing is, our opponent's a combo deck, right? So it is possible we win or lose out of nowhere against our opponent's deck. Ooh, Surveils to the top. That is never what you want to see. Opponent, Wall of Roots. We draw Eldrazi Temple. Well, we will. Opponent blocks. What was this Court of Calling revealed to? I don't even remember now. Oh, they have it in hand. Oh, 1, 2. It was from Nadu. So we can All Is Dust, but then all we're doing is getting rid of the Wall of Roots. I think we just play the One Ring. Thankfully, it looks like at this point, our opponent needs 2 things to combo. They need the Nadu, and they also need something to repeatedly target with. We get the One Ring. We draw with the One Ring. All right, opponent lets it go. Wow, we actually drew the Thought Knot. Okay, I was not expecting that, but we will take it. Thought Knot Seer. Literally the perfect draw here. And opponent scoops it up. Wow, okay, we did get a little lucky. We did get a tiny little bit lucky there. just a smidge. Just a smidge. But we're not going to complain. Nadu Combo A. So Curse Totems. 1,000,000%. Probably our best option. Dismember. Unfortunately necessary. Ugin's Binding, I could see trying. What are we cutting? Emrakul. Oh, the Emrakul Dream's just not going to happen. Let's go down a couple Null Drifters. Do we actually need the Kozilek's Command? Maybe we don't. It is removal, but it's not great removal for killing early game creatures. It's very slow. So maybe we stick with one of those. Maybe like 1 Microspawn, 1 more Null Drifter. Try it like that. All right, on to game number 2 against Nadu combo. And oh, sounds actually kind of ridiculous. Yes, we will keep this. We get to start with a Gemstone Caverns, Talisman of Curiosity. And then we can Ugin's Labyrinth, exile all his dust, and turn 1 a Matter Reshaper. It's about as fast as one of our hands can get. Wow, or Eldrazi's Temple. Let's Eldrazi Temple. Turn 1 Matter Reshaper. Having 2 soul lands, it makes Eldrazi feel a little bit like they did before Eye of Ugin got banned. It gives that same feeling, or like a legacy deck. It makes it feel a little bit like some of the legacy decks. They have Ancient Tomb on top of City of Traders. Eldrazi are back. I think Eldrazi might actually be back. Well, we get a Matter Reshaper, opponent, Razorverse Thicket, and Wall of Roots, sure. And Sylvan Safekeeper. Oh, that's an annoyance. Cavern of Souls. Yeah, let's play Cavern. Play the Cavern on Eldrazi. And run out, I guess we make it uncounterable. Run out Matter Reshaper number 2. And then this feels really bad, but I think we have to try to kill this Wall of Roots. So our opponent can sack a land to save it, but that at least puts them down mana. Our game plan basically is try to stay alive and not get comboed until we can, wow, they're gonna sack, until we can cast this All Is Dust. Well, attack, yeah, we can't even really get in for damage, but this means they can't remove a counter during our turn, if they were thinking of that. Opponent. Yes, Wall of Roots is pretty good. Makes it a little less painful to go down a land, although if we ever get to resolve the All Is Dust. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another Wall of Roots. If we ever resolve All Is Dust, we win. I don't know if we're going to, but that would be sweet. Gyre Reach Sanitarium. Well, play the Sanitarium, and we need to draw a 7. We need to not die this turn, which is not a given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can cord for 2 right now. Are we going to die to an opponent with 1 land? That's actually seeming kind of possible. And drops to 16. We need to draw a 7 for Ugin's Labyrinth, and then we can All Is Dust next turn, assuming we're alive, which I am really scared of Nadu. Maybe I'm more, this is the first time I played against it. Maybe it's not as scary as it seems in my head, but in my head it seems very, very scary. Very, very scary. I am very concerned that we're about to die at literally any moment. Oh, Nadu. Best bird ever, I think. What else is even in the running for best bird ever? There's not a Fledgling Osprey. There's not a lot of good birds, are there? What is the best bird in Magic? We need Bird Ragabad. Birds, the Forgotten Tribe. I guess Nadu. Nadu's a step in the right direction, but wow, are they actually going to cord for 2? So they can get Stoneforge to get Shuko. And then if they draw land, they can Nadu Shuko win. There's a Shuko. Wow, they drew it. Okay. Well, I mean, we'll let them do the combo for a second, then we'll scoop. That is a little bit unfortunate that our opponent also top decked the land. So now, I mean, just because people haven't seen this before. So now, new to Nadu, whenever one of our opponent's things becomes a target of anything, they get to essentially Risen Reef trigger, or Coiling Oracle trigger, reveal a card. If it's a land, it goes into play untapped. Otherwise, you put it into your hand. It triggers twice for each creature. Opponent, Core to Calling to get Springheart Nantucket. So now they're just, wait, where did that come from? Oh, that was from a Shuko trigger? Okay, so they move it over. Now with a landfall creature, now it's like infinite, because as you hit your land drops, you will also make more tokens, which will give you more Nadu triggers. I don't think it's possible that our opponent fizzles from here. All right, there's a fetch land. And then you just win with Thassa's Oracle. All right, we will scoop it up. Nadu, it was as scary as we thought that game. So the problem is pick your poison is sorcery speed. And if Nadu comes down, Nadu just wins. So we really need Curse Totems, Ugin's Binding. I mean, if our opponent didn't top deck that land, it might have went very differently. We're going to try it. We can do a pretty good amount of ramping here. Opponent aggressive. It is like a 2.5 part combo. Like, you do need quite a few pieces. So our opponent's mulliganing fairly aggressively. We're going to reveal this Devourer of Destiny, which makes life way better. See if we can find another soul land. Thought-Knot is pretty good. Sanctum of Ugin's just a land, but a land isn't the end of the world here. I think we take the Thought-Knot. I think that's fine. We'll take the Thought-Knot. We'll just lead on a Drowner of Truth past the turn. Tap land. Next turn, dismember your mana dork, tap land. Next turn, Thought-Knot you, get rid of an Nadu. That's the idea, at least. We'll see. If we don't need to do that, we also have Sowing Microspawn, which we can use to get an Ugin's Labyrinth to ramp into Devour, probably. Well, it's cool to see Nadu actually go off. I'm very interested. That's a deck that we got to try. I'm very curious to see if that's like literally busted or if it's unplayable. I'm on the fence. I don't think there's much of a middle ground with Nadu. As far as the combo, at least, I think you can play it fairly to just like protect your team to some extent. And it's like a 3/4 flyer for 3. So it's an absurd card. I think the combos, on one hand, it's a 3-drop that combines with a 1-drop and a 2-drop potentially to just win you the game, which is very scary. On the other hand, we haven't seen creature combos be that devastating in Modern lately, so maybe that's a vote against it. Opponent, Misty, Temple Garden, and Delighted Halfling. Well, I mean, we gotta kill this for sure. So step 1, dismember the Halfling. This time we will properly bolt the bird. Bolt the bird. At the cost of a ton of life. Drowner of Truth. Go. Another Delighted Halfling. Sure. And a Windswept Teeth. Yeah, I think we got a Thought-Knot. Ugin's Labyrinth. Devourer of Destiny. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. And Springheart Nantucket and the One Ring. Well, we're definitely taking the One Ring. Pass the turn. The Nantucket is good for our opponent, but I think it's less of a problem than our opponent drawing into Nadu. Like, our opponent just like making some 1/1s is not the end of the world for us. Eventually we will all is dust them away. Although it does set our opponent up where if they draw Nadu, then well, I guess they also need the Shuko. Springheart Nantucket and land and makes a 1/1 and cracks the fetch and makes a 1/1, grabs a Hedge Maze. All right, to the graveyard. Let's go to the graveyard. All right, they mill a Razorbird's Thicket. Wow, Eldrazi Temple is pretty good. Okay, so Eldrazi Temple, insane draw here. Soul land number 2. So now we get to 1, 2. Man, these lands are ridiculously strong. We can kick a Sowing Microspawn. We can exile the Hedge Maze and grab an Eldrazi Temple. And get in with the Thought-Knot here. And next turn we can actually, wow, we're close to just getting and playing this Devourer of Destiny. Worst case, we can Null Drifter, I guess. There are just top decks our opponent, like, oh, they need 2 cards, but still. Wall of Roots, okay, that's not one of the things that just kills us. Passing. 1 ring. Well, okay, I think we gotta do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play the 1 ring. Draw with the 1 ring. Does that change things? That might change things. Go attacking. Opponent blocks. Yeah, I think Cursed Totem's just better than Thought Knot here. Now our opponent can't Delighted Halfling, they can't Wall of Roots. That's one of the downsides of Nadu combo, is it does kind of pick up on the same hate that people play for Yogg, which is one of the best decks in the format. Like I said, it doesn't actually stop Nadu's ability itself, because that's just a triggered ability, but it does shut down all these mana dorks and the Stone Forge, like putting things into play and whatnot. So it is like pretty effective. So you kind of pick up on some of the fringe hate that people are playing, or some of the popular hate that people are playing for the most, one of the best decks in the format, even though you're like kind of a rogue new combo deck. So that is one of the drawbacks, I think, in Nadu combo. Feeling a little safer now. With the Cursed Totem out, our opponent just doesn't have enough mana to really wreck us here, I don't think. Opponent. They can't try to beat us down, I guess. Opponent passes. One ring. Does its thing. I mean, now we're like in all his dust away from just ending this game. One ring. Well, play a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Well, I guess this game we could actually play an Emrakul if we had it. I guess we Talisman of Curiosity. Step 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thought Knot Seer. Make sure nothing too crazy is going on over there. Chord here would be kind of scary. They could chord for Nadu. It's a way they can use their creatures for mana, even with this Cursed Totem out. Thought Knot still good, even in 2024. I don't like that our opponent's thinking. That is concerning to me, that our opponent's thinking and not just dying. That makes me think they might actually have a chord or something. It feels like man, these lands are so ridiculous. It feels like we're super far ahead, but I'm still worried that they could just combo us out of nowhere. Well, I will say with confidence, Ugin's Labyrinth, kind of ridiculous. You got to be in the right deck, but in the right deck. I mean, this makes a deck into a real deck. Like, Eldrazi have not been a thing in Modern in forever. I think Ugin's Labyrinth makes them a thing again. Also, probably get an Affinity decks, Synthesizer decks. Wow, they actually have it. Wow. Yeah, chord for Nadu. Well, this means our opponent is a top deck away from winning. Whoa. Okay, maybe not. I wonder what the problem was. Oh, yeah, okay, all this dust was right around the corner, and that would have definitely ended it. I wonder why. Because I would assume, right, like, so they might have wanted to answer to Cursed Totem, but I assume worst case, you get a Nadu, and you just hope that you draw a Shuko. And if you draw a Shuko, you just combo off through the totem, through the Thought Knots, through everything. Yeah, the odds probably aren't great, I guess, that, like, I don't know, what are you playing, one Shuko or whatever? So maybe the odds are not great, but it seems like that would be realistic. Unless, like, Shuko's in hand, then I guess I could see that being an answer. Well, overall, Eldrazi, kind of insane. The deck feels really good. I think Eldrazi might be back. They might actually be back in Modern, thanks to, if we just look at the cards in our deck, let's look at the deck. Let's do a little wrap up real quick. If we just look at the cards in our deck, as far as the new cards, here's my quick little rundown. Emrakul, sadly, too expensive, I think, for the deck. Like, I really want to see it go off because it's like one of the hype new cards, but it seems like it's probably just a little bit too much mana to actually be consistent. There is like the dream of, like I said before, micro spawn to get the Gaia Reach so we can discard it and then madness it for 6. In practice, though, that's a lot to go right. So Emrakul, probably not really worth it. Kozilek's Command was very impressive. It can be a little bit slow, but every single time we drew it, we were very happy that we drew it. And there was a couple times where it was like a game-winning card, giving us a way to get rid of like a Death Shadow that was about to kill us. So really impressed with Kozilek's Command. Drowner of Truth, it's kind of fillery, but our Ugin's Labyrinths were very consistent. I think through all 5 of our matches, I can't think of a single time where we had a Labyrinth and didn't have a 7 to exile to it. We are kind of like very focused on that, so it makes sense, but it does just up our Nexus count. So in that sense, I think it's worth it, especially as an MDFC, because if we don't have Labyrinth, we can still play it as a land, it's tap, but whatever, it makes the colors that we need. Null Drifter, it's fine. It felt a little bit like filler level, I guess, where we sideboarded out in some matchups. It's out of our 7s. I think it's the most cuttable in some matchups because Drowner is a land, so it's counted as one of our lands. All is Dust, some matchups we really need it. And then the other 7, Devourer of Destiny, this card I think might actually be the truth. Like, Devourer of Destiny was very impressive. It turns out that looking at your top 4 cards and being able to like do this weird anticipate, really good way to find your Ugin's Labyrinths and your Eldrazi temples. Because we talked about this throughout our league, right? Like, the thing this deck wants, the thing the deck needs is a soul land. If you look at our losses, we don't find a soul land. If you look at our wins, which were many because we went 4-1, they usually involve turn 1 soul land. So if we have a soul land, it's so powerful. The Devour Destiny just plays so well with Ugin's Labyrinth, digging for an Eldrazi Temple and being exilable to Ugin's Labyrinth, that I think it's one of the best cards in the deck. And we even like got value out of casting it sometimes. It does work as a removal spell. It is a lot of mana. Sowing Microspawn, I think it's pretty good. It leads to some really nutty draws. The draws where we can like turn, like think of this curve, which is somewhat realistic, but turn 1 Ugin's Labyrinth into Talisman, turn 2 Sowing Microspawn into an Eldrazi Temple. That's getting us to Devourers and All Is Dust and Null Drifters on turn 3, which is absolutely wild. That's obviously like a nut draw, but the upside's so high, it snipes problematic lands of our opponent's deck. The land that gets come into play on tap for some reason, it fixes it mana, it finds our utility lands for our Emrakul Dream with Gaia Reach. So that card was really impressive. Sometimes we cut a copy or two, but it was still very, very worth it. So overall, I feel like the new cards are really good. And I will say, yeah, you don't want to read too much into early access day or whatever. I think Eldrazi might be back, though. I think Eldrazi, because of all these new Modern Horizons 3 editions, might actually be a competitive deck again. The only other thing I want to mention, Chalice of the Void. I am really on the fence with Chalice. It's very, 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 very powerful in some matchups. Other matchups, not very powerful. The question is it worth it in the main deck? And the answer is, I am not sure. We got to see, it only came in, one of our 5 matches we really wanted Chalice. So in a broad sense, it's not good most of the time, or not like an all-star most of the time right now, at least in our matchups. On the other hand, we did get to see the free turn 1 win, where we just turn 1 Labyrinth into Chalice and our opponent just scooped because they couldn't fight through it with their deck. So you do get this upside in the right matchups of literally just getting free wins with the card. So I'm not sure. The question is, what would you cut? I guess you'd have to cut some 7s, which would probably be like Null Drifters. It would probably be something like this. It would probably be like no Null Drifters, drop down to 7 or 12 7 drops, 3 playsets of 7 drops, and then bring the Chalice in the main deck. For now, I'm pretty happy with it. It might be like a metagame call, right? It might be how many 1-drop decks are there? Because like the Death Shadow deck that we saw, this is just, Chalice is just the best card we can have against the deck. So in the right matchup, it's so good. So maybe it's just like a meta call where when the meta is really skewed towards 1-drops, Chalice is great played in the main deck. When it's not, played in the sideboard, bring it in when it's good. But all around, I will say, Simic Eldrazi with all the new cards. The deck's fun. If you like just casting big Timmy things and ramping and playing some of the craziest colorless monsters in Magic, I think Eldrazi might finally be back. So that's Simic Eldrazi. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.